Allie with Potomac Beads. Join me in making this foliage bracelet featuring beautiful fall leaf colors. If you need any supplies, check out the links below to shop with us online at PotomacBeads.com. So to begin our bracelet, we have 2 needles on one piece of 5 feet of beading thread. So both needles are at one end, sharing the same middle. At the very end of my thread, and I'm using 0.006 wildfire beading thread in the green color, I'm going to put on a cup button. So this cup button here is one of the amber or the Picasso ones here. And I'm going to put 1 needle through one end, 1 needle through the other, after already putting on 3 of my 11 seed beads. The seed beads I'm using are the Miyuki brand in the metallic light bronze. And I put 3 in the middle just so it decorates the middle of the button there. I'm going to let those fall down towards my button, and we're going to start the base of our bracelet. To start the base of our bracelet, the first thing we're going to do is take 2 11-Os on both the right and the left needle. Everything that I'm doing with the right side, I'm also going to do with the left. That is usually the nature of a 2-needled project. Once you have those 2 beads on, we're going to pick up 1 11-O, and we are going to share that 11-O. So one needle is going to go through from the right to the left and the other from the left to the right. So the thread will basically cross through the middle of 1 11-O bead. I'm going to pull that bead down towards the cup button and down towards my 2 previous 11-Os, and that's going to create a nice little triangle there. Coming out the piece then, we are going to begin with 2 more 11-O seed beads on both the right and the left needle. We're going to let those drop down next to our clasp, and then we're going to pick up our first RounDuo. The RounDuo that I'm using is going to be the RounDuo in the Jet Red Luster. It's a dark green bead. I know it has the Jet Red Luster name. That is the effect of the red luster when it's put on jet. It turns this green color. From here, after coming out through that bead, I want you to take one of your crystals, and the crystal we're using is the 1.5 by 2 millimeter, and I'm using the Apricot AB rondelles. So I'm going to dump a couple of those out. And you can see why we're calling this the foliage. It looks like these all fell from a tree. Keep in mind too, while watching the video, you can always comment below and let us know exactly what colors you're going to pick. I'm going to put 1 needle or 1 crystal on each one of my needles. And then I'm going to go back through that same RounDuo bead. So the thread that's on the right-hand side, I'm going to take from the top of the RounDuo down towards the bottom. And that crystal then is just going to hang right there on the exterior for now. On the other side, same deal. I put the crystal on, and I'm going to go back through my RounDuo and decorate that exterior. Now you will see a little bit of thread when it comes to the side of the crystal popping up there. See how you can see just a little bit of thread there. Don't worry about it, because when we come back around, you really won't see much of it. Once you have this in line, we are going to repeat that same process on every RounDuo the whole length of our bracelet. From here, we're going to pick up 2 beads on the right needle, 2 beads on your left needle, and then we're going to pick up 2 of our Piros beads. So our Piros beads are a Par Puca product, and you may not be familiar with them. They're flat on one side. They kind of look like a barn lengthwise is what they remind me of. And when you look at the side angle, they kind of have a point to them. I want to make sure as I'm picking this up that I'm picking them up so that the point is facing up, flat side is down. I'm picking up 1 and going through, and I'm picking up 2 going through. So you'll have 2 little points there. See how those line up right along the base, and you're going to let that drop down towards your project. From here, we're going to repeat. So on go, 2 more 11-O seed beads, 1 more RounDuo, add my crystals along the side, looping back up and continuing on. So again, this is the whole base of the bracelet. So I'm going to get about 6 3/4 inches to 7.5, depending on your size of your wrist, in that same pattern over and over again. Once you finish up with that kind of interior spine of the bracelet, you're going to exit your last RounDuo and add 2 seed beads on both the right and the left needle. I've then added one more 11-0, just like we did at the start with the button, where I've gone one way through one 11-0 and the other way through. So one needle left to right, the other from right to left. Then what I've done is added 25 of my 11-0 seed beads onto my left needle here. I'm going to take my right needle and go through all of those seed beads as well, from the top of that seed bead line towards the bottom here. And what that's going to do is create my loop for my button to sit inside of. If you happen to be using a regular clasp guarding clasp, when you go in and add that, go ahead, add a wire guard, wire protector. That's a really good start for that. Once you have those 2 rows of thread going opposite ways through all of these beads, you are going to have a nice loop. That loop, you want to make sure when you do your seed beads, or if you're using an alternative button, that your button will fit inside of that loop. I'm going to take my seed bead my needle then that's on the right hand side and go through that middle bead that we're sharing, that 11-0, go through from the right to the left, and then down through the 2 11-0s before the RounDuo and exit. On the other side, same deal. You're going to go through that middle bead. So that middle bead currently has 4 strands of thread going through it. And then again, down through the 2 beads along the side. That gets your loop on for your bracelet, which is really one of the advantages to working with 2 needles. And if you want to do this as a necklace, you can as well too. So this gets us set up that we have our loop on for our button to sit inside of, and we're ready now to go down with our foliage bracelet, down adding our second row of our beads. Coming out those 2 11-0 seed beads, we're going to go down both the right and the left side. You can see the right side is still left open, and the left side here I started a little bit just so you would see the effect that we're getting. Coming out those 2 11-0 seed beads, I want you to add 1 more 11 and 1 15-0. Sew through the crystal on the exterior of the RounDuo that's there. Then I want you to do 1 15 followed by 2 11s. That's always going to be the pattern coming out of the crystal. Going into the next 2 Piros then, you're going to sew through them and out. And that's going to decorate the exterior of that first RounDuo. We're going to add another RounDuo in on each side, doing 2 15-0s onto your needle, then one of your RounDuos, then 2 more 15-0s. Same set of Piros here. You're going to sew down through both of them. Always both. And that's going to let that RounDuo kind of hang out there on the side. Exiting them, 2 more 11s go on your needle, 1 15, and into the next crystal. Again, 1 15, we're doing it backwards now, 2 11s through the Piros. When you come through the Piros then, 2 15s, 1 RounDuo, followed by 2 15s, and circle back through those Piro beads one more time. So you can see as you do it on the right and the left hand side, how you're starting to get kind of that nice look where the RounDuos almost sit up towards the top of the Piros and the crystals perfectly frame out the RounDuo that's in the middle. You're going to do the same thing going down the bracelet now, the whole length of the bracelet, till you get that kind of almost barbell looking shape of your RounDuos on the exterior. When you get to the end of the bracelet here, what you'll want to do is as you come out the last crystal, add 1 15 and 1 11, just like we did at the starting side. Then with your 1 threaded needle, you're going to go from the right to the left through that middle bead, up through the button as a clasp, and come on down the other side. You can see here I have 1 strand that I've already done, the left one. I'm going to do the right, and that gets us 3 strands then through the clasp, which is a really great number. So I'm going to go up through the opposite side here, going through the button, down through the seed beads, or just skip over the seed beads, it's up to you. And then I'm going to go down through the other side. And you can see now I have both my thread and needle hanging out on the side here. So just like I was originally when we came down the project. And what I'm going to do now is get ready to attach and add on to the secondary hole of those round duos on the exterior. Once you're done with the button section, what you want your thread and needle to do is come out after the crystal. We're going to be catching on to the crystal as well as the second hole of that round duo. So I've already done it a couple passes on the left here for you to see, and I'm going to do it on the right hand side. Generally, I'm not going to go down the whole left hand side first and then the whole right hand side. I like to flip-flop back and forth, couple inches, 2 inches there, 2 inches here. That way the tension stays the same and you can correct it if there is an issue. So I have, coming out of my crystal, I want 115, 2 11s, and then you're going to sew through the round duo there. Reversing it, 2 11s, 115, sew through your next crystal. It's going to pop the crystals kind of up towards the top, and the round duos will sit a little bit recessed. Coming out the crystal then, 115, 2 11s, into the second hole of the round duo. You can see how it frames it out kind of in that crisscross falling leaves pattern. So again, coming out of round duo, 2 of my 11s, 115, and through my crystal yet again. Coming out the crystal, 115, 2 11s, through the next round duo. And as you go through the exterior holes of the round duos too, you get that nice kind of lateral effect going on. The 15-ohs will almost pop a little bit to the bottom, and the round duos will look like they're sitting right on the edge of that doubled Piros section. At the end of the bracelet design, you're going to be coming out the last crystal. And with my one needle, I'm going to go up through the 15-oh and then through all of the 11-ohs. And I'm just going to do this with one needle because I already have 2 strands going through there. So I don't need, or sorry, 2 strands going through there. So I don't need a whole nother strand. So I'm going to get the 3rd strand through here. And as I exit, went a little bit too far here, after the first bead, what I'm going to do is just decorate this exterior clasp just a little bit. So I have my 15-ohs here. I'm going to pour out my 15-ohs. And you can, if you want to, just go right through the beads. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, coming out of 1 11-oh, pick up 2 15-ohs. I'm going to skip over the next 11-oh in line, and I'm going to go through the one after that. So I'm doing peyote stitch. Those 2 beads go towards the exterior. The next time I'm going to pick up 1 bead. Skip over, I'm going to flip this a little bit upside down. Skip over the next bead in line and sew through the following. Next time, grab 2 15s. Skip over the next one, sew through the following. So I'm doing a peyote stitch, but to equal it up and add just a little bit of that red fall foliage color, I'm going in and alternating for the size-wise, 1 bead, then 2 beads, then 1 bead, then 2 bead, as I'm going around this exterior loop for my button and creating that nice peyote loop design. So it gives just that extra little charm and that extra little design. As you go around and then finish up your peyote stitch, and again, if you had a regular clasp and you're going through a wire guard, usually with the 0.006 wildfire beading thread, 3 times is the max that I like to travel through the wire guard, because the little openings along the sides, those little tubes that you're sewing through, they are actually not soldered. So keep that in mind. And I'm going to come through here towards the other side. I'm just rotating it in every other. 1, 2, 1, 2, and so forth. And as you get to the bottom here, I have my 1 bead in. I'm going to exit and sew through the last of my beads along my loop so they can see how it looks, that little decorated loop idea. I'm going to sew through that middle 11-oh seed bead, and it might be tight in there depending on what finish and bead you're using. If it is tight, what you can do is sneak through the first 2 seed beads right after. Once you sneak through those 2 seed beads right after, you're going to sew up through your first round duo bead right there. change the direction of the thread, and we're going to sew through the RounDuo through the opposite direction. Because I'm using green beads and green thread, you will not see it at all. I'm going to take my needle and thread, sew up through my 15 and my 2 11s on the side right after the crystal, and go ahead and pop one out there. Take both of my thread and needle, bring them to the back of the design, not sewing through any beads, just bringing them towards the back, which is going to allow me to tie my knot off along the back of the design, so that way you won't see it as much. Grab those 2 thread ends, and the advantage to having 2 needles on 1 thread is that you get to put that clasp on right away. You get to add the loop for the clasp right away for that button, and then at the end, you simply, with bigger beads, tie off the thread ends, grab your thread burner, and burn down the edges. Now in the comment section too, remember that you can always give people color ideas, say what you were going to do, say if you're doing anything different in the design or any sort of change up that you do. It helps the rest of the community, so if you don't want to do Piros, keep in mind you could do a roof bead. You could also do 2 bar beads, but it's going to give you a little bit of a different look to it. So you get that nice kind of fall foliage colors. It reminds me of falling leaves, as I have to go home and bag them all up out of my yard. So you have a fun way to make this nice color for a fall foliage bracelet. Thank you again so much for joining me in making this fun fall foliage bracelet. Remember, if you do need any of the supplies, check out the links below to shop with us online. If you want to, you can also subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads, like new products, new ideas, and new videos. Remember, you can also give it a little thumbs up as well as comment below on the video. Again, this helps build up the community, answering questions that people may have, ideas, and really growing the craft. As always, if you need materials, check out those links again to PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy your new foliage bracelet.